Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. Welcome back to our show again in our second day of Ramadan. Congratulations for the commence of the month of Ramadan. And today, as promised, we have a wonderful guest here with me, Wa'il Al-Harrasi and
Hatem Al-Absalam.
We're going to continue our theme throughout the month on parenting topics. Not any parenting topics, but new parenting topics related to the modern family, as the show names indicates. This is an interactive show. We have a telephone number that we would like you to call us on. After the break, we'll be receiving calls. And we have a Twitter, so please follow us on Twitter and give us your feedback, interact with us. We would like you to be contributing to this program and not only be on the receiving end.
Our phones are 24602058 and our Twitter account is Hatem, HATIMIIC.
Could we repeat that again, just in case nobody...
24602058 and our Twitter account is Hatem, HATIMIIC.
Brilliant. Today our guest of honor here is Dr. Ali bin Amr Al-Shaydani, a lecturer in SQU. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ali.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you doing this fine day?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. It's an honor for us to have you here today. And our topic today, ladies and gentlemen, would be mobile phones, technology and children. Be it young children, very young children, very early age, or even teenagers. We would like to talk about all aspects related to this particular technology, mobile phones, the time that children spend on mobile phones. What are the pros and cons of mobile phones today? How does it affect our lives, our children's lives, and how do we control that? But before we go into that, yesterday we have promised you to play a clip on bridging the gap between parents and children, and we're going to listen to that now.
The moms, naturally, Allah has given them certain gifts. Like parenting comes more naturally to a mother. Allah has given her that gift. He just makes her nurturing, soft, caring, concerned, just naturally. Fathers have to work on it. You're sitting at home, your child falls down. Who gets up immediately? Oh, mera bacha, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Who does that? The father? The father's sitting there, pick yourself up, child. In Urdu, say, kuch nahi hua, chalo, isko baad. Dust it off, nothing. That's nothing, don't worry about it. Just a little bit of blood. The mom will go crazy. It's natural to her. I'm telling the fathers here, if we want our children to be raised in Islam, the first thing we need to be is their best friend. And that takes work. It takes serious work. Parents here, fathers here, you guys have to get in shape. I'm serious, you have to get in shape. Not for yourself, for your kids. You come home, your kids want to play with you, and you just, Abba, pick me up, throw me around, do this, you do a little bit of that, and you're like, Abba's got to lie down, hold on. You know, that's not how you raise kids. You know, taking our kids hiking, playing sports with them, taking them to the backyard. Even if they're playing video games, play video games with them. Play with them. You know, play the Wii with them. Bowl with them. I don't care. Just do stuff with your kids. It's a critical part of opening barriers. So they can talk to you about anything. Because I'm telling you, when they reach a certain age, the need to talk to someone will always be there. You would rather that person be you, not some non-Muslim friend who will give non-Muslim kinds of advice. You would rather that be yourself. You don't want to discover your child has developed another personality later on in life because you never talked to them and eventually you actually engaged in a conversation and you realize, whoa, this is a different person. Who are you? You've been living under my house all these years? When did this happen? Oh, it done been happened, Daddy. It been happened. You just never knew. You were busy. You were busy. You have to make special time for your children. It has to be just their time. And if you have multiple kids, you have to go out of your way to make sure each child gets individual attention and time from you. No one else, you. No toys, no gadgets, no nothing. Just you. It has to be there. It's absolutely critical. Easy.
Welcome back. That was Ustad Nu'man Ali Khan. He's a brilliant speaker, and we'll play more clips from him during the month, inshallah. And after the break, we have another clip on the same subject, Bridging the Gap, which he talks about the subject in a different way. He's very knowledgeable and funny as well. I like his approach. So coming back to our topic today, which is mobile phones. Dr. Ali, let's talk about mobile phones and its effects on society, its effects on how children behave. First of all, today is the time of smartphones. Parents need to know, what are the capabilities of these phones? In the old days, parents, neighbors, uncles, aunties, they were the ones who are raising children, and they know exactly what children are exposed to. Life was very simple. Today, even mobile phones could expose children to a whole new world. And it's very difficult to track what they're doing. Or is it? This is what we'd like to know today. How dangerous, or is it really dangerous? Or if it is, how dangerous mobile phones could be?
Okay. First of all, let me just thank you and Hatem for inviting me today. And also, I would like to congratulate the Muslim Ummah for the commencement of a month of Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the strength to worship Him the way He wants us to worship Him. I believe this is a very sensitive topic, and it touches every family, be it in Oman or anywhere else, because of the revolution of mobile phones now and the number of mobile phones out there. It's amazing. And going back to what you have asked, the capabilities of mobile phones, and I think you have just expressed it well. Previously you used to get your information from your friends, from your relatives. Now, with your fingertips, you can explore the whole world.
Yeah.
And with mobile phones and with smartphones particularly, you can download apps that does a lot of things. I would like to think of it as a two-edged sword.
Yeah.
It depends on how you use it, and it depends on what you put on that smartphone. Two kids can buy the same smartphone, but the way they use that smartphone could be totally different, based on the types of apps that they install, the time, the interaction they interact with the phone, how long do they spend using the phone. Yeah. So, and this topic fits very well in this program. Yeah. There's a lot of parenting to be in. Parents should involve themselves there, to steer this. Not to reject the new technology, but to accept it, embrace it, and gear it towards a safe path.
That's something that we have seen, because I initially thought of saying, okay, probably some parents might still stick to the old phones, but I don't see that. So that is a good sign that even the older generations are moving towards a newer technology. It's been attractive not only to youngsters, but also to the old generation. So it is a good step that they are getting involved in ownership of these phones.
Yes.
But I think what they also need, or what we as parents need to be aware of, is that we need to familiarize ourselves more, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
Maybe not for ourselves, we don't want to use them, but familiarize ourselves with the features. So when we speak to our children, we speak the same language.
Exactly.
And when they tell us about an application that can do this,
and
we are able, as you said, to steer them.
Yes. Yes. And this, and maybe this will link with the topic of discussion yesterday, bridging the gap. Kids having mobile phones and smartphones. If parents also get to know the smartphones, what they can do, they can also, as you rightly said, speak the same language. And that will be a tool to help bridging the gap. Instead of it being a tool to that will start, I don't know, separation and hatred. And it will be a tool that will help in bridging this gap.
Dr. Ali, don't you think that maybe the younger generation are more faster to learn the skills on the smartphone more than the parents, and the parents might not have the capabilities or the time to learn these apps and applications or the phone, and this would be a disadvantage in terms of parenting. They will not be able to reach out to their children.
There is no doubt that the young generations are tech savvy. They are more familiarized with touches and swipes and clickers more than us. With the revolution of mobile phones, these things it's an instinct and it's interactive at the same time. So for kids, it's fun and it's interactive. So all the it's there for them to use. I agree with you, Hatem. Maybe parents will not have the time to follow up on what their kids are doing, but at least they should know some general, best practice on what to do and what not to do, what to allow and what not to allow.
That's why you're here, Dr. Ali, so that you can tell us.
Okay, just before then we go to the next step, okay, we would like to just give some examples of the capabilities of these phones. Things that you think a lot of people might not be aware that the phones that they give their children can do those stuff. So could you please give us some examples of things that could be exposed to children, or children could be exposed to these stuff and able to do that some parents might not know that children can do this now?
The smartphones, the number one feature of smartphones is internet access. And based on many studies, internet access over smartphones exceeds internet access over desktops and laptops. So obviously, point number one, if you give your kid a smartphone, he's going to access the internet. And if he accesses the internet, then you know the rest of the story. There are many sites that maybe he's not supposed to visit. Maybe he will be exposed to discussing issues with
strangers.
Yes, maybe he's exposed. He will be exposed to cyberbullying, and this is a very big, it's a hot topic now. Cyberbullying.
If you can just explain cyberbullying for the parents who are listening, so that
we know bullying.
Bullying is what happens in schools where a tough kid comes along and starts hitting and slamming and abusing other kids, harassing them.
I still remember those.
Cyberbullying is exactly the same thing, but this happens online, where for example, a kid comes and says, maybe says something bad to another kid about his well-being, about his parents or whatever, and then drag them into giving some information, and then starting threatening them based on those information. So there are many forms there. I have a study here. According to PBS, 1 in 3 kids have been exposed to cyberbullying online.
Wow.
Yeah, 1 in 3, based on their study. So it is there. It is happening. Maybe not that much in our side of the world, but it is maybe because
one day it will be here.
Obviously, but and maybe because of the kids vulnerable to cyberbullying. Maybe that vulnerability is more in other cultures more than us, but it is there, and it's important for parents to open dialogue with kids, to start this friendly relationship, so kids can they can be honest with their parents if someone is cyberbullying them. Or
is cyberbullying done by adults?
Yes.
Do adults
yes,
bully
exactly. Yes.
But you would never know.
You would never know.
You would never know. And cyberbullying extends even into having some parents might ask, what would cyberbullying do to these children. It's in a virtual world. It's not direct, it's not physical, so I should not worry about it. But I've just listened to a program about bullying that happened in virtual reality softwares or websites, where you have virtual reality, you have a character in a website, and you interact with people as you interact almost in the real world. Those teenagers who were bullied in cyber reality or virtual reality took revenge in the real world. And they started shooting children. This happened in the US. They started shooting children in schools because they were bullied in the cyber world.
If my memory serves me right, there was a case in the US where a teenage suicided because of cyberbullying. One form of cyberbullying is when an older teenager or an adult establishes a friendly relationship with the kid using instant messaging softwares, and then drag the kid to send pictures, for example, pictures of him, pictures of his
family members,
or the kid himself, pictures of his private parts. And then the bully now starts threatening
and blackmailing.
Yes, and blackmailing. That's how we can put it. And this, it creates a sense of distress and frustration in the kid that will last with him for long after.
We're going to come to that, because here we have a letter from a mother who bought her child, a 13-year-old boy, who kept nagging her. He wanted an iPhone. She eventually bought him an iPhone when he was 13 years old as a Christmas present. This is in the US, and but with that phone came 18 terms and conditions. These terms and conditions not from the operator of the network, but from the mother. And we'll come to that after the break, inshallah. One thing we would like to come back to, what you said, is vulnerability. Children are vulnerable. So this is a very important part as an entrance to the next question, which is, at what age shall we trust our children, or shall we give our children a mobile phone? A lot of parents say, I trust my child. I've raised him well. So even if he's 8 years old, I trust him. It's not, to me, it's not a matter of trust. It's a matter of wisdom. These children at that age might be very obedient to their parents, but they don't have the wisdom enough to be able to use mobile phones the right way.
Or they cannot take care of themselves.
Yes, and then they become vulnerable to the things that you have just mentioned. So at what age would you say, personally, is appropriate to give a child?
Before you answer the question, Dr. Ali, yesterday Dr. Wael was saying that his children are not allowed at all to touch his mobile phone.
But my children, the eldest is 8 years old. So the youngest is just 5 months old. So I wouldn't give them a mobile phone at this age. Definitely, you can't convince me.
But you're saying you're not going to give them a mobile phone, or you're not going to give them?
They're not allowed to touch it.
They're not even
to
allowed
play
to
with it. At least
not even play with it. If they
not even your 8 years old.
Not even my 8 years old. Unless if I put it on pilot mode. And the reason I say that, because I've read an article. There is a professor in Sweden who warned against the use of mobile phones for children under 12. Why? Because the radiations from mobile phones affect children more than adults. In fact, it could cause, or the probability of causing brain cancer is 80% higher in children under 12 than adults. The reason is the nervous system. I'm not a doctor. I'm just I'm not a doctor in brain surgery or a medical doctor. But this is what I read. I'm just transferring to the listeners what I have read.
I think mobile phone companies will not be happy today with you saying that.
I couldn't care less. I care about the welfare of my children and the children, all children in general. So the nervous system is growing, still developing, and the skull is thinner. So the radiation could penetrate the skull much easier than penetrating an adult's skull. That's why the chances of generating brain cancer in children, especially through prolonged use
Yes.
and exposure, even if they don't use it in a phone call, just holding it very close to them while texting or reading, that is dangerous.
Okay, to go back to the question of when should you give your kid mobile phone. I've done some research.
Okay.
And based on the research and my personal experience, I have also an 8 years old kid.
You need to tell us how you deal with this one later on.
Based on all that, my conclusion is it all depends on how you trust your kid will behave with the smartphone. There are some general guidelines. Don't give kids less than 2 years old not smartphone, let's say tablets or any electronic devices, because they are developing their senses, and you want them to explore the world and to and you want them to go out and see and touch and feel and all that. You don't want them to start with the smartphones at the age less than 2. Based on some research I read, the recommendation is to start giving tablets or any electronic gadgets starting from preschool age. But giving them a mobile phone, now that really is a big question, and I'm sure many parents have this question running on their mind.
Yeah.
When should I give my kids a mobile phone? And I'm sure it's case by case situation. Some parents need to give their kids mobile phone because they want to keep in touch with them. Some parents feel that that's not necessary. Some other parents give their kids mobile phones or tablets based on social pressure, peer pressure from other kids. So I'm sorry to say, but I don't think I have an answer for that. I think it depends. Every family should decide for themselves when should they give, but not at a very young age as this. But you should find out: can your kid be trusted? Is he responsible?
But we said initially it's not entirely about trust, but it is the wisdom which we know for sure that hasn't developed yet in children under 12. I would personally say that at this time that we live in, wisdom hasn't developed even at the 18 years old.
But I just wanted to end this with your decision to give your kid a mobile phone or a tablet. This should be coupled with the decision that you will keep following them. You will keep track of what they do. You will monitor them. A big no is to give them these gadgets
blindly,
and you wish that they will use it in the best way.
And there are two categories here. Giving them, when we say give them, just to clarify, giving them as to use only. So you have your own tablet, your own phone, and just give them to use, or is it give them as their own?
Yes.
Giving them at their own would be difficult at a very early age. To use and familiarize. And get them involved, at least to know these gadgets before they are old enough to own one.
I'm worried about trust, honestly, because let's say you deprive your child from having a mobile phone, and you think that they are not wise enough to have or to own a mobile phone. What if they get it behind your back?
Exactly.
Would you know that they own a mobile phone?
Yes.
Personally,
do they have the access to buy a mobile phone?
Personally, here comes the role of parents into having a plan to how to raise their children from a very early stage, encouraging trust, encouraging them to say the truth, whatever it is. When my children, whoever they are at any age, if they do something wrong, they know that they can tell me, because if they hide it, I will punish. But as a reward for them, if they say the truth, I hug them, and thank them. So no matter what they did, no matter how bad the thing they did, if they say the truth, then there is no punishment at all. Because I don't think that there is anything more important for me to educate or teach my children than just saying the truth. Then I think that I can be safe. When they are older, they wouldn't hide anything. Plus, I use that time with my children to teach them what are the good things and what are the bad things. Dr. Ali, Hatim, We'll come back to you after this break. We have a very short break. Again, today, another clip from Nu'man Ali Khan on bridging the gap between parents and children.
Easy. There is a gap, but there's something to be said about the role of parents in creating that gap. Though the crime is on both sides. I'm going to start on the parent side. Especially fathers, guys, especially fathers. You come home from a long day of work, you sit home, and all you want to do is nothing. You just want to watch TV, flip the channels, watch news, watch where the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You want to check what's going on in the world, even though you won't remember any of it, nor do you care, but this is your form of entertainment. And your kid comes over, your 5-year-old comes over. Dad, look what I made. Look what I did. Dad, play with me. Come on, let's do something. Let's play tag. And they're talking to you. What are you doing? Could you leave me alone? I'm trying to watch the news. And you'll call his mom. Hey, Fatima, can you get rid of him, please? I just came home from work. I need some peace. I don't need to hear this. Don't you have toys I bought you? Go play with those. Same child, 10 years later. He's 15 years old. And you're picking him up from school and you say, so son, how was your day? What'd you do? Did you talk to any friends? Maybe. Where are you going to go later? Somewhere. What are you going to do? I don't know. They won't talk to you. And then you come tell the imam, my kid doesn't talk to me. Yeah, you didn't talk to him.
That was a brilliant piece by Ustad Nu'man Ali Khan. Now, we'll be receiving calls. So, Hatim, do you know the number? Good one. Really? The number to call is 24602058. The number to call is 24602058. You could always follow us on Twitter at Hatim, HATIM IIC. That's Hatim IIC. Dr. Ali, we have a brilliant letter today here to read. There's terms and conditions that this mother wrote.
Yes.
And I would like to read it out. And we'll discuss it, we'll analyze it and see what is really good about this. Now, she says to her 13-year-old boy that you are good. Said, Dear Gregory, Merry Christmas. You are now proud owner of an iPhone. You are a good and responsible. So she emphasizes that he is responsible. She is expecting him to be responsible. 13-year-old boy, and you deserve this gift. But with the acceptance of the present comes rules and regulations. And she emphasizes again, and she says, I hope that you understand it. It is my job to raise you into a well-rounded, healthy young man that can function in the world, that coexist with technology and not be ruled by it.
Yes.
This is a very important thing. Coexist with technology and not...
It's a strong statement.
It is a very strong, very true statement that we shall not ignore. She says, failure to comply with the following will result in termination of your iPhone ownership. I like that. I love you madly, and I look forward to sharing several million text messages with you in the days to come. It is again re-emphasizing that we are on the same team here. We are not against each other. And then the first condition that she says, this is my phone. I bought it. I paid for it. I'm lending it to you. Okay, so it's not really actually yours. Okay.
Number 2 says, I will always know the password.
See, here comes the trust. He's a 13-year-old, but yes, you trust a child, but do you really want to trust them completely and blindly in everything?
I totally agree with this second condition. And that's what I do with my kids as well. Yes, I give them gadgets. They can share my iPad, my phone sometimes, but they are always password protected.
Yeah.
So they can't use it unless I open the passcode for them.
Mm-hmm.
They can't download unless I type down the password. So I recommend also every parent to keep the password to themselves. Don't share it with your kids.
But when you give a child a gadget, they must share the password with the
Yes.
parents.
With the parents. And
With,
that is-
with the parents.
Dr. Ali, what if you have brilliant kids and they can break the password, like the one you have at home?
you change the password again. Well, okay, this battle will never end. You have to find another mechanism now.
Yeah.
Maybe deprive the gadget for a couple of days or weeks because of as a punishment for this for this act. But there is another advice as well. Is it's good if the kid can only use those gadgets in an open area, like the
living room.
The living room, for
yeah.
example. This means that you will keep tab of what he's doing or she's doing. You know what exactly they
From the body language, you can tell.
You can tell
they're
exactly.
nervous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So avoid giving kids your smartphone or any gadgets and ask them to go to their room and play there for 2-3 hours.
Mm-hmm. We'll come to parenting control, which might probably help you give them that space to go in their room and play with it. But there are some software that can monitor every single step. What time did they go to the internet? What are the websites that they visited, downloaded? And it can also send you emails into your personal email account
Yes.
of the daily summary
Yes.
of the activity of your children. Now, continuing on to this, this mother continues and says, if the phone rings, answer it. It is a phone. Answer it and be polite. And never, ever ignore a call when the screen says mum or dad. Okay?
Okay, number 4 says, hand over the phone to one of your parents promptly at 7:30 p.m.
So setting ground rules. Huh?
Yes.
7:30 p.m. Hand it. You could set your own rules accordingly. This is during school days. During holidays, maybe you could extend it a little bit. 8:30 or 9 o'clock max. Then you receive it again at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. Okay.
I want to go back to one of the conditions mentioned. The mother said, "I don't want you to be ruled by technology."
Yes.
Because she was afraid that her kid will become rude. Maybe someone is going to talk to her kid or try to interact, and the kid is busy texting. Or I want to know what's your thought about this. Haven't you noticed that kids nowadays
absent-minded?
Exactly, and they are well consumed
in a different world.
I don't think it's only children.
Even in the presence of elderly people. Yani.
Unfortunately, it's the whole society. It's the whole society is unfortunately becoming rude in a way that you would go into somebody's house and either the owner of that house would be fiddling with his phone in your presence, or you as a guest sometime would be fiddling your phone in somebody else's house, and I find that really rude and annoying.
Yes.
Sometimes it would be during funerals. And it's custom to go and shake hands with those people, and sometimes you would be shaking phones with someone
shaking
hands only, and he's on the phone. He doesn't even know that he just shook hand with you. Huh? And really, we need to be aware. We can't say anything more than just.
But what can we do? Because the reason I'm bringing this up is because I have a personal experience. Because I'm teaching at the university, and I throughout the years I noticed that students they keep sneaking to their phones every now and then during the lecture, and that really annoys me. And I came to accept that they are doing that because they are used to it, and they can't.
It's part of their way of life now.
Exactly. Every 5 minutes they have to pull the phone and check the recent messages and so on. I found it very hard to live with because I felt that this act is an act of disrespect to me. I used to give a consecutive 2-hour lecture, and when I found out that this is a pattern that's happening, I tried to adjust my teaching method and added like a break in between So within the break, students can now, check their phones, and so I don't know what we can do with kids totally consumed with mobile phones while you're engaging in a conversation with them.
I would say, Dr. Ali, that it starts at home, and you're as a parent, you're a mirror to your kids. Whatever you do, then they will imitate you.
Yes, exactly.
And if you teach them from the beginning that this is something rude, that you shouldn't do it, or from an early age, you should take them through this process of not being busy with the gadget throughout the day. Yani, keep a specific time for gadgets and texting.
Yes.
And maybe intentionally not to use the phone in their presence. So I think we need to be role models.
Yeah.
And we are all guilty in this, that we spend quite a lot of time on our phones. And I don't like WhatsApp. I don't like it because it's just a waste of time. Although a lot of people would say, I read, there is a lot of good information and I read. Yeah, but that's chaotic reading. It's not organized reading. You need to go and read a book from start to end to learn something. But chaotic reading, I don't think it's healthy. So we could live without our mobile phones and technology, and we don't need to be connected. When these phones started, it was a really good thing. Oh, we're going to be connected all the time, wherever we are, at any time. But now it seems that we ourselves, as adults, we don't know how to use it. So we need to teach ourselves how to use it wisely. Our children, if they see us doing that the correct way, I think there is a bigger chance that they will follow suit.
Dr. Weil, you're talking about your own needs, but what about the needs of the Z generation, as they call them, the digital revolution generation? They, to them, the internet is the oxygen, and they need it, and you cannot deprive them from that. So saying that we don't need it, yes, maybe as parents we don't need it, we can live without it, but to them, no. It's an
think of it. Think of it. Why do they need it? They want it, but they don't need it. Is it just to be connected with their colleagues who just been spent 6 hours together in school? They don't need it. They've just been in school. They talk to each other, and they're just going to discuss trivial things.
If you deprive them from this, you should give them an alternative.
Yes. There are a lot of
alternatives. Do you have an alternative?
There are a lot of alternatives. Giving children, especially very young children, alternatives is the way, rather than just complaining that they are naughty and they are overactive, hyperactive. They're active, okay. Active, if they damage something, then you know that they have spare time. Fill it with something and they will accept. If they're very early age, let's say 4, give them coloring books. Give them anything. Give them toys that they can build things. If they are older...
You're talking about both parents working 8 hours a day, plus 1 hour on the road. Okay, so there is 9 hours of absence from their kids. And they come back from work, they haven't seen their kids the whole day. They have very little time until they go to bed.
I like a statement that was said by Nu'man Ali Khan. He said, you go out and work 8 hours a day and come back and you want silence. You want a holiday, basically.
Yeah.
But no, he says, coming back at home, that is where you actually start your work. What you are doing outside is just providing. That is secondary. This is primary. This is actually your work. So we can't ignore that, and that is not an excuse. If a family decides to live that way, then they should pay the price.
Okay, let me just put a positive spin on the whole topic. I don't want to paint a black picture here about mobile phones
We're
and
scaring
technology.
the parents now.
Yes, we don't want to do that. I have to say also using those gadgets wisely and installing the correct apps. This also unlocks potentials on kids. If you there are many apps out there that are educational, good for teaching basic sciences, basic linguistics, brain teasers, and the super advantage here is that those apps running on these gadgets, they are interactive. So for kids, it's education plus fun at the same time. So they won't get bored that easily. So I would encourage every parent to go and find those good apps that will unlock kids' potentials. Kids at young age, they tend to learn faster. So if you give them the tools, you will be astonished with the results that you will get. But that supervision should be there all the time.
Dr. Ali, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. For example, if you have an iPad and you give it to your son or daughter, and then you just unplug it from the internet. It doesn't have a connection to the internet.
Yes.
You install all the applications that you want
Exactly.
To learn from, and that way your kids is safe. It's
Yes.
not connected to the outside world, and they learn new skills.
Yes.
Sorry, Dr. Ali.
Why apologize?
And I don't know if I can also give some tips to parents out there when they want to buy gadgets. I strongly recommend that if they want to buy tablets, for example, or smartphones, to avoid buying cheap ones, like those ones from China, and they are not durable. They are not for kids, and they might be vulnerable to viruses and so on. Buy gadgets from reputable companies. I can also advise that parents avoid buying tablets or smartphones that are capable of portable storages like SD cards. If you buy something without an SD card, that's even better for your kid.
Okay.
Having a smartphone or a tablet with an SD card, that's a point of it's a point of entrance where kids can
store from other locations,
and then bringing files, pictures, maybe videos from from computers, from other tablets, maybe applications from from friends via those SD cards. So for kids specifically, it's better that you have a locked down version of a tablet or a smartphone. Locked down meaning no external storages, maybe minimal internet connection.
Yeah.
And there are some specialized tablets for kids with specialized applications. For example, for example LeapPad. LeapPad is
yes.
That's specialized, and they are not expensive. They're about $100.
Yeah, Leapfrog.
Exactly.
Leapfrog
from
company.
Leapfrog, exactly.
Yes.
So there are. I think there are solutions. Let's not scare the parents.
No,
there are solutions, but supervision. It should be there all the time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali. We would like to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Modern Family. You can call us on 24602058, 24602058. You could always follow us on Twitter at HatimIIC. If we continue to read these terms and conditions, I'm craving to read more here. It says in one of the points, leave your phone home. Leave your phone home sometimes and feel safe and secure in that decision. It is not a life or an extension of you. Learn to live without it. Be bigger and more powerful than FOMO. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. And this is what teenagers say, I need it, because they think that they're going to miss out. And this is a very good advice here. Be bigger and more powerful than just the fear of missing out something.
I like this one that says, do not send or receive pictures of your private parts or anyone else's private parts. Don't laugh. Somebody will be tempted to do this despite your high intelligence.
Yeah, so despite of their high intelligence, they might be tempted to do something really stupid.
Yes. I think it's also important, if I can interrupt here.
Yeah, sure.
That parents should make it clear for kids that texting or exchanging messages over the internet is no different than speaking out loud in a park. If you say bad words and you are easy with it, you don't feel shame of it, then that's not different from saying the same bad word out loud in the public, because the internet is a public domain. Everyone can see what you have said. Everyone can
read whatever you have posted.
Read whatever you have posted. And some people post some information that later on they regret it. So
and can never be erased
or retrieved.
Yeah.
So it's very important that kids know that the internet is just like being out there in the park and expressing your ideas, and also people tend to accept strangers on internet. Accept strangers more on the internet versus the real world.
Yeah.
In the real world, if a stranger comes to you and asks you a question or asks for your picture or asks something, you will feel more resistive to respond. But in the internet, those walls are, the threshold is lower a little bit.
Yeah.
You feel like you don't feel that this person is a stranger. You feel that this person, the problem here is you don't know who is actually talking to you. For a kid, that a kid is talking to another kid, he thinks that the others from the other side is another kid, but maybe it's an adult or someone else who can harm him.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we need to be extra cautious.
Rule number 5 is very good for adults and kids as well. It says, it does not go to school with you. Have a conversation with the people you text in person. It's a life skill.
Yeah, continuing on life skills, there is another rule here which says, keep your eyes up. See the world happening around you. Stare at your window. Listen to the birds. Take a walk. Talk to a stranger. Wander without Googling. So live your life without technology. Just be yourself, a human being. Live an organic life without technology. And that's a very good piece of advice.
I just wanted to emphasize on the taking mobile phones to school. Some parents say that I need to give my kids mobile phones to check on them from time to time, or to if something goes wrong, and then they can call me immediately. But I think that if you talk to the school and you give them your number, normally if anything happens, then they can call you immediately or text you.
Yes.
You don't have to give your children mobile phones to take them to school.
Or if it's absolutely necessary to give them a mobile phone, then don't give them a smartphone. Give them what we call a feature phone, which can only call and text message. That's it. And then you take it from them when they are back from school.
And give them 500 Beza credit.
Yes.
Right. What else in these terms and conditions? It says you will mess up. So it's just telling that, okay, I've thought about it. See, I like this mother because not only that she is aware of the capabilities of a mobile phone, but she has taught herself exactly how to deal with every single situations. And this is what we want all parents to be aware of the capabilities of mobile phones and technologies. We would like them to know exactly how to deal with them wisely. So this mother is not giving away everything. She's giving the child what he wants, but not giving away everything. She's not giving him control. And she says, you will mess up. I will take your phone away. We will sit down and talk about it. We will start over again. You and I, we are always learning. I'm on your team. We are in this together. And I love this sentence.
The condition number 7 is also interesting. It says, do not use this technology to lie, fool, or deceive another human being. Do not involve yourself in conversations that are hurtful to others. Be a good friend first, or stay the hell out of the crossfire.
See, so mobile phones, if we would like to summarize now the technology within and how to deal with it, how would you summarize to parents, Dr. Ali?
I would say that, again, mobile phones or new technologies are two-edged sword. You can decide what you want to do with them. You can use them for good, or you can use them for bad. And the possibilities for using them for good are huge. and parents have to grab that. Keep tab of what your kids are doing. Play with them. Try to install apps that are beneficial for kids, that will unlock their potentials, and it's also a good opportunity for parents who stayed in their comfort zone, and they don't want to get to know those new gadgets. It's a good opportunity for them to get to know these new gadgets, because it will help them understand what kids are doing with them, and it will help them bridge the gaps with their kids.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention one thing, Dr. Ali, if you can help us in this. Are there any safe websites for kids? For example, like search engines or YouTube, for example, that will censor what our children view online.
There are.
So at least
there are, but
if you can give.
I don't remember the exact URL, but there are websites, search engines designed for kids. So they filter out all bad websites. So if a kid wants to do a research for school, they can use these search engines. But I don't remember the URL.
One good starting point for parents could be that parents themselves go to Google and type in children's search engines.
Yes.
There might be a lot of them. So which one to decide to give to the children? I'm sure there are a lot of reviews where people have tried it and gave their opinion, whether it works or it doesn't work, whether these filters or these search engines are good enough or not. So Google it as a parent, punch in children's search engines, and then read some reviews, and then decide. Now, we have parenting control softwares.
Yes.
Sometimes they are built in within Windows, if you have Windows. I'm not sure about Mac. I don't know anything about Mac. You could buy more robust softwares where you can control the time by every 15 minutes, in 15-minute chunks every day, and you could schedule a week schedule for children. Can you do that on mobile phones?
Yes, some mobile phones have restriction capabilities where you restrict what the user can do and what they can do.
Okay.
Yes. So you can apply those restrictions. For example, you don't want your kids, or you don't want the user to use YouTube, or you don't want them to download apps. Okay. Yes. It's at least my phone does that.
And is it a brand of phones that does that, or is it an app that you can download and restrict the phone?
I'm using an iPhone, and it does that. It comes with the operating system. I'm not sure about Android, but I guess it's you can find an app that does that. And speaking of apps, I also would like to give some tips for parents if they want to download apps for their kids. Number one, try always to download apps from reputable app developers, like big companies. Don't download apps from people you don't know or from companies you don't know. Number two, read reviews, as you have said before. Read what other parents have said about this app. Number three, if this app asks to access your photos or your contact list, immediately delete it. Because if an app asks, if it's an educational app or it's a game for your kid and it asks to access photos, then that has nothing to do with it. This means that there is something fishy here. So avoid such an app. If an app asks to link directly to social media networks like Twitter or Facebook, again, avoid that for kids. Because in some apps, kids can be playing or writing something, and then that will be posted online, and maybe you don't want to do that. So always be careful. As you have rightly said, there are some softwares to control, but I think the biggest control comes from you first. It doesn't matter how good the software you have installed. If you don't have this cautious mentality, it'll be difficult to...
Could you give us an example of a reputable application store? So for iPhone, it is the App Store.
It's the App Store.
And the default for
Android is the Google Play.
Google Play.
And if you want to download an app, just find out who's the author of this app. The author should be reputable. For example, PBS Kids. PBS Kids is a reputable author of educational programs. Sesame Street, for example, and so on. And always read the reviews. Read what other people are saying about this app.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali. bin Amr Al-Shaydani, lecturer in SQU in computer.
In electrical and computer engineering. And I'm also
before he leaves, before you leave and before you end, we want you to share with us your experience at home. I think you have a brilliant son, and he's giving you a hard time, although you're in this.
You're just about to say something. You're also the founder?
I'm the co-founder of Tech15. This is an initiative to spread technology awareness in the society. So we have a YouTube channel, Twitter account, Facebook account. It's Tech15.
How do you spell it?
TECHONEFIVE. In Arabic, it's صوت عمان التقني.
صوت عمان التقني.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners, we all need to go and visit to this and support Dr. Ali, and in turn he will support us as well into educating our children. And yes, please don't shy away in sharing that story with us of your child, of a genius child.
Okay, so I was surprised one day to find out that my kid has a Twitter account. He's 7 years old, and he tweeted something to his uncle. And I remember I was with him together. And my brother said, your kid is tweeting something to me. Did you open for him a Twitter account? I was very shocked. I said, no. And I found out that he did it. He used my other uncle's computer to access the internet and to create an account and did all that. So although you do your restrictions at home, you don't know what kids going to do when they go to other houses and when they have access to other devices.
See, our parents never feared, these sleepovers, but now fears.
It is.
Yeah. There was no computers those days.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to us, and thanks from the team here, from Dr. Ali. We would like to thank Dr. Ali and thank you all from me and Hatim Al-Abd Salam. Thank you very much, and we'll leave you, as always, with a thought for the day, something to reflect on during these spiritual days of Ramadan.
This is a verse from the Holy Quran, from chapter 39, verse 53. Almighty Allah says, "Say, O my servants who have transgressed against themselves, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. Indeed, it is He who is the forgiving, the merciful." Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The Modern Family, a brand new show bridging the gap between the parents and the children and taking you through a journey to the world of modern teenagers.
I remember when I first met you, I felt that God answered my call. There was that one place I
Join us in a parenting dialogue like never before, every single day of the holy month of Ramadan. Live broadcast from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. with host Hatim Al-Abd Salam and Dr. Wa'il Al-Harasi.
And now that we're here, feeling so